Don't worry, Princess Islandway. I'll rescue you.
I don't need rescuing. I can save myself. Not that a woman needs physical strength to be powerful.
Or a man.
Right, and there's nothing wrong if I want to be with a man.
Or woman.
Exactly.
I'm glad we cleared this all up before continuing our quest.
Indeed.
What was our quest again?
I don't remember.
Cut. Critic, is there something wrong? Look, I'm flattered you call me in to be a consultant on your live-action Black Cauldron movie. Honestly, I think it's one of the few Disney films that should be remade.
Never mind all that. Is there a problem with the checklist?
No, though I'm surprised there actually is a checklist for these. It's very spelled out. Then what's the problem? Well, I thought you called me in so I could help make the movie much more like what made the book so popular.
No. We brought you in so that the check boxes could only be half checked off.
Yeah, I guess I'm not understanding why. Because our remake of Snow White backfired.
Not only did it lose money, but both sides of the internet hated it.
Now, you know how much I hate Disney, but this time, they really dropped the ball. I let slide the first 20 times they made bad remakes, but now it's popular to hate them. I'm gonna criticize every minute detail. I'm not even chewing gum, that's how angry I am.
Now see what the other side is saying.
Now, you know I love everything Disney, but this time they've really dropped the ball. In this short 5-hour video essay, I'm going to analyze one problematic thing that is going to kill you. Can't imagine how you attracted these people. So we're trying to meet them halfway.
A little progressive, but not too progressive.
A little old-fashioned, but not too old-fashioned. Well, I'm definitely going to need an old-fashioned after this.
You're the only one that tries to look at these films objectively.
You know he yells for a living, right? Is that really the most objective voice you could find?
On the internet? Yes.
So don't interrupt us unless there's a checkbox that isn't checked.
Or fully checked. It's strange to think we got to a point where a Disney live-action remake isn't just bad, it's controversial. As I've said a million times, I never enjoyed any of the recent Disney live-action remakes, but I always tried to give them a fair shot. Some I even acknowledge almost work, but fall victim to Disney presumably forcing changes that feel more from committee than from a passionate storyteller. But sometimes the films try so hard not to offend anybody that they ironically end up offending everybody, at least on the internet. Everything in between people with politically social agendas and people who just want to see a good movie. The ironic thing is there's 2 shows this year that got a lot of praise on the internet from both critics and audiences. And, or you could argue, has a left lean. It's racially diverse, sexually diverse, has women in power, is fighting fascism. But nobody complained because it was a suspenseful drama for adults that had good story and characters. The King of the Hill reboot, you could argue, has a right lean. They love their Fox News, they drive Hummers, they mock being overly emotional. But again, nobody complained because while it's satire, it's a loving satire that also had good story and characters. And the ironic thing is, they're both technically under the Disney umbrella, so there's people there who know how to do this right. But that clearly wasn't the case with their live-action remake of Snow White. Even before it came out, this film was ready to be hated. This wasn't like Little Mermaid, where people got upset over the dumbest thing to get upset about, but afterwards were basically fine with it. This movie was equally hated before and after it came out. I guess a lot of that you could say is the controversies, but I don't know. A lot of these I don't see as really that big of controversies. Celebrities posting stuff online, saying things in interviews, making dumb choices. Yes, I disagree with a lot of what they're saying, but aren't we kind of used to it at this point? I guess I'll discuss them as I go over the review, but bottom line, they're kind of a moot point because, like many of these remakes, it's just bad with or without the controversies. And for the same reasons these remakes usually don't work. They don't understand what made the original so beloved and, to some extent, are even ashamed of the originals. While there's certainly things that don't age well in them, these movies usually focus on the stuff that people could care less about, apart from the loudest voices online. And in trying to pander to that outrage, they usually end up making things worse. Still, this is one of the few Disney remakes that ended up not just losing money, but losing a lot of money. So maybe the tides are turning. Either way, let's take a look at this CG head cold and see why audiences weren't on board with being pandered to. Not that we're probably not going to get a lot of pandering in the near future.
I saved you, if that's okay. Not that I need your permission, not that I'm talking down to a black man, not that I even noticed. Just tell me what you want me to be!
Something tells me it's going to be more quiet in my office. Let's take a look at Snow White. It opens with animals shitting on the story. Hey, come on, leave some room for Disney to do that. as they tell of a kind king and queen who gave birth to a princess. Now, one of the controversies is that Snow White is played by a non-white actress, and if you know me, you know I really don't care one way or another, as long as it doesn't hurt the story. But I will admit, when the film started, I did say, oh yeah, she's called that because she's supposed to be white as snow. How are they going to get around that?
A blizzard swept through their land. To honor the night she arrived, her parents named the girl Snow White.
Similar to the prince who had a difficult birth in a delivery room, hence why he was called Almond Beige Hospital. We jump into our first of many forgettable news songs, singing how, tell me if this sounds familiar, a princess should be nice. Yeah, isn't this basically what they've repeated over and over in the Cinderella remake?
Have courage and be kind.
These movies keep adding to girls how to be generically good short list. Courage, kindness, fearless, which is basically courage, fair, which is basically kindness, brave, which is basically courage again, and true. There, we got a new one, but Pinocchio already scarred that lesson into our childhood, so number 4 on a locket isn't gonna add that much.
Where we plant a tender seed, trusting something good will grow.
Alright, so far the songs are basically on par with that Brandy Cinderella TV movie that came out years ago. It's not bad, there's effort put into it, but for a production that's not a TV movie, but rather an over $200 million film, it comes across a little bit more like a stage show at Disneyland. Numbers in films like Frozen or Encanto can be corny too, but there's an innovation there, a distinct style, there's a soul to it. This is so comically empty, it feels more like Enchanted. You know, the satire of those movies. For a company that loves to pat itself on the back for updating its films, this comes across as very dated.
Tragedy struck. Snow White's mother fell ill, and the good queen died.
Killed by a leaf. Medicine was very primitive back then. The king later falls in love with an enchantress who wants to be an evil queen named... I'm just now realizing her official name is Evil Queen.
She married the king, but she was not what she appeared.
She was a bad actress. Alright, I can't pretend I'm 100% on the Hey Gal Gadot train, as she still has most of the best moments in the DCEU, and one of the top 5 greatest superhero moments of any movie. And if she was as bad as everybody says, none of that would have worked. But yes, I'm not blind. I can't ignore that at times her acting can definitely be very cringy, and to her credit in the first third, she kinda rocks it.
Please. You were saying...
The outfit is so laughably over the top with a squeaking dress and clinking jewelry louder than Mr. T's. It's like a bell you put on a dog to hear him coming. But funny enough, the more still she is, just flinging a fingernail or raising an eyebrow, the more fun she is.
Pies are luxuries. They don't need luxuries. It confuses them.
I'm sorry, I think she's a blast in this first part, even if the writing continues to try and add logic where it's not needed.
She kept a magic mirror, which could answer but one question.
Who is the fairest of them all?
Was anybody watching the first one thinking, boy, that was beautiful, but that plot hole with the mirror? Why didn't she ask him more questions? I'm sorry, I expect more reality of a film where people can blow water out their ears.
She warned of a terrible threat from beyond the Southern Kingdom.
The queen predicts with her enchanted predicting powers she has now that the threat is gonna spread across the kingdom. So the king goes to defend it. I think that's why you have soldiers go instead of the ruler of the land, but whatever, we're not forcing logic down people's throats. Oh wait, we are, you should explain this. The king never seems to return though, leaving the queen in charge to greedily rule. She turns Snow White into a servant where she grows up to be played by Rachel Zegler.
There's an intruder in the castle. Seal the door.
Take some for yourself.
Curses, they found I used my chin to break in. That's Andrew Burnett playing the young thief Jonathan, who tries to steal food to feed the people the queen is robbed from, but he gets captured.
Find his home and burn it to the ground.
I don't actually have a home.
Then take him to the dungeon.
Then burn it to the ground.
The punishment must not exceed the crime.
This thief stole from me.
Sorry, I'm half Israeli and half squeaky toy.
This thief stole from me.
We get another Lin-Manuel Miranda song, and I guess they're not really terrible. They're just very bland with, let's be honest, greeting card lyrics.
Holding out for someday, I'll become my father's daughter.
I guess that's a sentence. Zegler sounded absolutely beautiful as Maria in West Side Story, but even she's struggling with this song that's just all over the place.
Your voice will carry through. Close my eyes and see, just like an echo, echo, echo. Someone who could finally start speaking with a fearless heart.
It's like if someone doesn't quite hit the right notes in that Fifth Element song. You can't really be that angry because it feels designed to be purposefully impossible. Snow White has to use all her brain power to figure out how to break Jonathan free.
Run.
Thank you.
One so hard?
As the mirror suddenly decides, hey, your stepdaughter's looking a little dishy.
For I see, she is more fair than thee.
No! Also, the fact that I made a website counting down to when she turns 18, totally not creepy. As the story goes, the queen orders the Huntsman to bring her Snow White's heart.
Kill her.
But she's just a girl.
Look, my mirror finds her hot. There's no other option. She has to die!
Cut out her heart. Put it in this box.
You have a heart box? How many times have you done this? The Huntsman takes her to pick her favorite treat, apples. Yeah, that would be this boring character's favorite. But the Huntsman finds he just can't kill her.
I can't leave the kingdom.
She is evil. She's a liar. You were never told the truth about your father.
She told me enough. She told me you killed him. Wait, which struggling Disney franchise are we in again? She goes into the Enchanted Forest, which is literally alive this time and not in her imagination. I mean, all right, this is some of the cooler imagery in the movie, but it only lasts 30 seconds and really all we get is this tree. The Snow White ride is more intimidating. I think this whole movie is to drive tourism to Disney parks like, yeah, this sucks. You really should put down more money and go into Fantasyland instead. The CG deer from Walking Dead leads her to a cottage where the 7 not dwarves reside.
I hope, it's off to work we go.
This is the only thing I consider a legit controversy in this film, and let me tell you, its history is messy. You see, one of the earliest images Disney released was of 7 characters of different heights and races. So, given how these remakes usually go, people assumed they were the 7 dwarves, and it got a lot of backlash. But it turns out they were just bandits who show up later in the film. So either this was the original idea and it got so much backlash they changed it, or somebody very foolishly posted this thinking, yeah, nobody will think this is our version of the dwarves. Why would they think that? We have the worst of early DreamWorks Uncanny Valley nightmares for that.
This story's shotgun shots. Why don't you shut it, Grumps?
And the reason these Krampus garden gnomes are in the movie is because Disney figured having real dwarves in the film would be insulting. And it's probably no coincidence that Peter Dinklage did an interview saying he wasn't a fan of dwarves being in the story, and that exact same day, Disney said they were going to change course and make them magical creatures. Hence why the film is just called Snow White, and the word dwarf is never mentioned in the film. They don't even name what these things are. Christ, you're Disney, you own Star Wars, even this damn thing has a name. Now, Dinklage has gotten a lot of backlash from this, particularly from little people, saying it cost a lot of jobs and exposure for other little people who could have been stars. I mean, there's just not a lot of demand for a ton of little people to be in one place all together in a movie. And while I do personally disagree with Dinklage's thoughts, the dude is just giving his honest opinion. He's allowed to do that, and I don't want him to lie. Now, I'm not a little person, I don't know much about this world. It's Disney who made the choice based on one person's opinion. As they posted the same day as the interview, they're consulting with the dwarfism community, and the following day, they changed them to magical creatures. That was pretty quick right after that interview. I don't think that's just a coincidence, or they would have said right away, we already decided they're magical creatures. And what are the magical powers these nameless entities have? Well, they can make diamonds glow. That's it. It doesn't serve the story in the slightest. You could cut it out and miss nothing. But at least we get to look at Rankin Bass hobbits if the Ninja Turtle mutation fell on them. Also, if you're concerned about representation, the black actor isn't playing a black character, and the dwarf isn't playing a dwarf! How does that make things better for anybody? They arrive home and of course find Snow White in their beds. They all run away as Dopey is left in there, and I will say this is one of the few things in the movie I like. Snow White and him have a very sweet connection, and whoever animated him should really get a raise because he is the only one I legit feel any emotion for. The scenes between the two of them actually work pretty well.
I only wanted to meet you.
Okay, he still looks like Tom Holland mid-Alice in Wonderland mushroom, but I'll take anything positive at this point.
I am only bound by what is true. The fairest lives. She is not you.
The queen finds out Snow White is still alive, and okay, you remember when I said I actually like Gadot for the first third of this movie? Well, there's another 2/3 of this movie to follow, and I can pinpoint the exact moment she said, "I'm just switching my performance to bad."
Now perhaps you have heard that the truest of beauty
This is it.
is fair when you wear the crown.
Sure, she was silly before, but she had some style, she had some poise. Now she's a broken drag queen animatronic. I swear she moves like Mr. Burns in that softball episode of Simpsons.
It's the gold and the glitter and the gems and the jewels.
Christ, remember how intimidating, even downright scary the queen could be in the original? At this point, Kathy the Jimmy from Descendants has more street cred.
Captain, search the forest.
Oh, guess the song's over. Oh, we're back. Okay, about as consistent as every other Total Whiplash. Well, for people made out of spare rocket fire explosion parts, that was very impressive. The orc babies are still getting used to Snow White living with them, and hey, you know what's not funny? Laughing at characters who are clearly created to be funny.
You know Dopey doesn't talk. Because he's a dope. Just because his name is Dopey doesn't mean he's actually a dope.
I mean, Sneezy sneezes all the time, and Sleepy sleeps all the time, so I don't know how you came to that conclusion. What is the history of how they got their names anyway? Again, the original story wasn't designed for me to ask this, but since this movie wants to inject so much logical finger-wagging at me, were they born with these names, or did they assign them later? I mean, his ears are big, so maybe you can call him Earix if that's the name clearly everybody's using to describe these characters.
Seems to me that everyone here could do a much better job at listening to one another.
Snow White says no one should make fun of Dopey, but people with mood disorders, allergies, or narcolepsy, that's fine. And she encourages them to be nicer to one another and literally clean up their act.
Whistle while you work. You'll get it.
I guess another controversy is that Rachel Zegler said she wasn't a fan of the original movie because it wasn't progressive enough and has been more than outspoken on social media, to say the least. Again, I disagree a lot with what she said, but it just feels par of the course for Hollywood at this point. Like, everything's political whether you want it to be or not. I'm not a fan of that, but it doesn't surprise me. If anything, acting really shocked and annoyed kind of feeds into what they're looking for. They want the publicity, they want the outrage, they want people to pick a side so that you'll see it whether you want to hate watch it or watch it for real. So removing all that and just going by her performance, she is pretty bland.
And do you feel like they're not listening to sense?
Correct.
I take your point, Mr. Grumpy.
I do cut actors in these remakes a little slack because they have so little to work with outside of be a perfect role model. Even some of our best actors have been stripped of any charm working on these, and while she isn't the worst offender, she leaves little to no impression.
Whistle while you work.
Hey, you know who's not working? The freeloader we're letting stay here to protect her life. You want to help out supposed not spoiled royalty?
Whistle while you work.
And oh yeah, don't the new songs totally gel with the old songs like there's not a 90-year gap between them? I wasn't a fan of Mary Poppins Returns, but I did acknowledge the songs did sound like something that would be out of the first one. The tone, the melodies, everything sounded very similar. The original Snow White songs are like catchy jingles. They're simple, but they're beautifully memorable. The new ones are so up and down and all over the place, it sounds like Wicked backwards.
Whistle while you work.
So I'm sticking to my plan of grabbing all I can instead of living in a fantasy.
Hi-ho, it's home from work we go.
To make your wish come true, please let it go.
They just don't match. Speaking of things that don't match, what do we segue to after the cute tidy up song?
The Queen lied about my father. She lied about everything. What if he's still alive?
Oh. Maybe we should have been focusing on that instead of the strange cleaning detour. See, these styles don't go! She decides to leave to find her father, of course bumping into Jonathan and his early 2000s hoodie. God, this is so timeless.
Sounds an awful lot like Princess Problems.
They sing in our new song, which again is corny, but I do remember being a little catchy. I'll give it credit for that. When we're introduced to the kind of dwarves, no, the other kind of dwarves, it's weird I have to make that distinction. A group of bandits working with Jonathan. Yeah, you know what I was thinking when I saw the original Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs? I wish there were 7 more characters I pointlessly had to remember. Don't worry, none of them are memorable, so they won't take up brain space. The guards find them and they have a little chase scene, but oh no, Jonathan gets shot. They take him to Doc to see if he can save his life, but sadly, he doesn't seem able to.
I used the blast furnace to cut through the bedrock. I thought he was dead.
Yay, randomness, let's celebrate! They sing the silly song from the original and...
I used to think that the way through the woods.
Oh my god, did they just interrupt a musical number with another musical number? I'll be honest, when I first saw this movie, I thought I remembered maybe 3, 4 new songs at the most, but it turns out there's 11. 11 new songs in this. That's not including the ones from the original. I think the reason I forgot this is because every one of them slows things down and offers nothing new we haven't heard in a million other things before. So it doesn't add any new life, it just drains it out of you. It's like Max Shrek's power plant from Batman Returns.
Instead of generating power, it'll sort of be sucking power.
Yeah, that.
I'll be back in 2 days. We'll go to the Southern Kingdom and we'll find your father.
Oh, right. Maybe we should stop putting that off. Where is this subplot going anyway? Jonathan gets captured again. Yeah, he's pretty good at that. And the Queen figures out where Snow White is. Had to give credit. That's the one cool shot in this movie. But she takes the awesome transformation scene in the original and replaces it with, what else? Another forgettable song.
A hunching hag with a wrinkled skin. A mane of white.
Oh Christ, she's transforming into one of those chewed up Warwick Davis leprechauns. You're right, that is far more scary than the original! Snow White attempts again to go out and find her father, and if you're like me, you're thinking, wait, we're near the apple scene. There can't be that much more. Are they really gonna wrap up this whole father subplot in that amount of time? But before she even gets searching, the Queen approaches and says Jonathan has been captured.
I will help you. Take this apple to sustain you on the road.
Okay, in the original, she wasn't the brightest either, and you could argue she was naive and didn't know much about how the world works. This is the self-proclaimed smart, brave feminist. How did she not see this was a trap?
I did know your father.
It was almost too easy for me to have him killed.
She, of course, bites the apple as the radioactive Hummel figurines arrive too late. Doc declares her dead because we all know what a great track record he's got, and they give her a funeral.
You, my queen, are fairest of all.
Actually, someone 2 kingdoms down just got a little hotter. I was on the fence at first, but she's pretty smoking. Honestly, I don't know why you put so much stock in my opinion. Jonathan decides to use all his brain power to figure out how to get free. Well, he still has to figure out how to get out of the dungeon. I know I used this joke a few weeks ago, but...
Holy shit, our security is atrocious.
Yeah, I see why he keeps getting captured. It's like playing tag. You're gonna be out of it in like a minute.
I'm so sorry.
He makes it to Snow White, and it is funny for all the fuss people made about the kiss being non-consensual. Like, yeah, he should have just left her there to die. That would have been the ethical thing to do. I did laugh that they kept this scene in exactly as is. I honestly thought that weird scene where Doc accidentally brings someone back to life or didn't recognize he was dead, whatever, somehow that was gonna play a part in this, but no, you could cut that out and not miss a thing. Now, like I said, I think the original's fine. I know what it's trying to do, but for all the complaints about how problematic the original is and this version will be more feminist and her taking charge, it still has a man saving a woman by kissing her awake. Don't worry though, the emotional heart-tugging from the original is completely absent, so it means nothing.
What's wrong?
My father.
I kiss you back to life and you think you're your father? That is wrong.
Murdered by the Queen. Mother? Father? Won't return.
You're welcome, by the way. Figure you'd give me a little thanks after this father subplot goes nowhere. Yeah, I know you've heard me say it a million times, but what was the point of all that? Looking for her father brings nothing to anything. Maybe in some forum where people look at these movies every wrong way possible, they saw this as making the character stronger? But again, it just confuses people because it's motivated by forcing lessons rather than developing character. Nothing literal or emotional makes sense in this world.
Time to restore our kingdom. She'll do everything she can to stop us.
Speaking of which, if you have a disability you've lived with all your life and people make fun of you for it,
let her try.
Just believe harder and you'll beat it. Aw, you're blind and can't see? Well, you just need to believe harder. That'll make your eyesight come back. Still can't see? Well, you just didn't believe hard enough. It's all on you. And look, I doubt this was the mindset while writing this. I mean, you look at the original stories with magic and fairy tales and everything, and Jiminy Cricket even at one point says wish upon a star is symbolic. It's not meant to be taken literally.
It symbolizes faith, hope, so this is my personal wish for you.
Most people get that because of the world they create. That's just how it works. But when you create an environment forcing unneeded logic in a story where it never belonged, it trains you to either take everything literally or interpret things the wrong way. Case in point, Snow White goes back to the queen to take her kingdom back.
If you want the throne, take it.
Now, from a logical standpoint, she would either take that knife and stop several others from being murdered, or she would go into the situation with a well-thought-out plan. She does neither.
Enough of this charade. Guards, let the people watch her die.
We've been watching that for an hour and a half.
Paul.
Why did you say that name? Why did you say that name?
You were a farmer in the Western Vale.
My name is George, and I've always been a soldier.
Matthew, Arthur, William, there was a time where we lived with hope.
I remember.
Thank God I remember those 4 specific guards, because I don't remember anyone else on my staff. The bandit stopped the queen from killing her, the lupus lollipop killed literally do nothing to help, and it looks like the mirror pulled a fast one on old Queenie.
Famed is thy beauty, for Snow White, beauty comes deep within.
And by total coincidence, she also happens to be hotter than you. Oh, forgot to read the back label. Can only answer one question. If you break the mirror, you become a mirror. God, they just worked in so much logic in this. The kingdom all bleached their clothes. There you happy extremist, she did whiten things up. And they all live mediocrely ever after. Critic! Give me a minute, duty calls. What the? There. What's going on?
Someone leaked behind the scene photos, so now the internet's pissed off again.
Yo, does Disney even listen to the people who hate watch them? Do they have any consideration for us? Once again, Disney comes so close, but because of one little detail, I have to hate everything about it.
What are we gonna do? The movie's over before it even started.
Wait, that room looks familiar. I think I know where he is. This is all clearly part of their agenda to replace us with... Hey! Oh, shit.
The extreme extremist is streaming in your studio?
No, I'm the extremist extreme, and it's very racist of you to think we all look alike.
Oh my God, they were the same person the whole time?
No, I'm the, extreme extremist. No, I mean the extremist extreme. I mean the,
Okay, who are you really?
All right. Uncle Lies?
But why?
Well, I figured while we're still divided, I could make some easy money off of it. So I created these 2. I just say something crazy, and then I have the other say the opposite, and sometimes it goes so opposite they end up saying the same thing. This is who you were pandering to?
And still want to pander to.
Tell me your secrets.
How much money did you make?
All right, stop it! This is how we keep getting shit! People keep getting the wrong idea about what's timeless about these Disney classics and what's dated. So many people keep trying to fix them and apply shame when they don't understand what they're about. Snow White is emotional storytelling, not logical storytelling. It works on the same level as Wizard of Oz. Nobody seriously questions why Glenda didn't tell her about the shoes or if the lady's gonna come back to have Toto put down again. Yeah, I never thought further ahead about that, did you? Well, you're not supposed to, because it's about what your emotions want to see. Snow White works the same way. Who is this guy carrying her off? What's his name? Why are they in love? Why do they just know they have to immediately leave after she wakes up? All of this is what your emotions want to watch. It's like being in a dream where logic takes a back seat so you can process all these different and strong feelings. Nobody listens to classical or instrumental music and wishes it had more logic. Yes, some actually do have a little bit of a story if you look it up, but for the most part, you just go along for the emotional journey it takes you on. That's the idea. Kids are a lot better at accepting that as they don't have as many responsibilities as adults do. And maybe we as adults need to tap into that more. Or at the very least, we need to stop robbing it from kids by trying to replace them with these supposed logical remakes. Some dated material isn't great for kids, and I agree that should be addressed. But in trying to fix problems where there are no problems because you just don't follow what it's doing, you're limiting the mindset of our youth and making your current versions ironically make less sense. This movie doesn't work for most of the same reasons the other remakes don't work. And if you want to do them correctly, maybe you should start praising what the originals did right instead of shaming them for what they aren't doing wrong.
Maybe we have been pandering too much.
Come on, why don't we make something original? And this time we can start respecting people's
Hey
intelligence.
everybody, the Lilo and Stitch remake just made $1 billion.
Billion?
With a B?
Wasn't that supposed to be some cheap Disney Plus movie?
Amazing.
What about the original idea you made, Elio?
Oh, that bombed hard.
You know what this means? We don't have to try.
More remakes.
With a lot more coasting.
And a lot more pandering.
Come on, everybody! All aboard the money train! Let's blow, we've no conscience to show.
Well, maybe we as an audience should try making a difference too. But then again, a live-action Lilo and Stitch review would probably get some hits. Here's to exploiting this a little bit longer.
Let's blow, we've no conscience to show.
This thief stole from me.